Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician. I'm your host, Keegan Peluso. My guest this week is Miss Allie Wallace. Allie is a friend of mine from several years back. We actually met doing a musical back when she was in high school. That being said, Allie is doing amazing work right now in the city of Memphis. She is a student for music education / music business. We talk a little bit about her double major. She's a fantastic songwriter and does a lot for songwriters around the Memphis area. She also has started running a house show venue because the house show scene on Memphis is starting to flourish, which is amazing. Among many other things, we talk about conquering fear. We talk about her motto, love and recovery. We talk about her band, Allie and the Walrus, what the Walrus actually means, which is pretty cool. Among many other things, this was just a great sit-down conversation with a fantastic songwriter, somebody who is headed towards great things. So, without further ado, please enjoy this amazing conversation with my dear friend, Miss Allie Wallace. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Modern Working Musician, where each week we pick someone who is redefining what it means to have a career in music. My guest this week is Miss Allie Wallace. Allie and I have known each other since you've been in high school.
Yeah.
Makes me feel really old. She is a singer-songwriter, goes by the name Allie and the Walrus. She is a person of many different ideas, strategies. One thing I love about her is she's not afraid to try something new and just jump in with both feet and see what works and does not. So she is constantly just doing some amazing stuff. Went to U of M for music business. Are you still going to U of M?
I am.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. We're going to dive into that.
Cool.
And you're also just a kind of a household name on the Memphis songwriting scene now.
That's
You're
right.
at the songwriter nights. So very cool. So jumping in, could you give us like a brief bio of your origin story?
My origin story.
Yeah, when did the musical bug bite you?
Oh, for the day I was born, it bit
really?
me. It's always been a part of me.
Cool.
I was one of those, you sing before you talk kind of gals.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah. So my grandma was also a singer, and so
Okay.
she always pushed me to, just keep singing my entire life, and so I did, and it became a big part of me in high school, and then
Awesome.
went on to college for
I
it.
got
So.
it. So you and I first met doing musical theater. You were Tracy Turnplay
Yes, I was.
in Hairspray,
Yep.
where I also met my wife. And then I was playing drum set for that. How would you say just doing musical theater in high school has influenced your career at all?
Oh, it gave me a certain point of like courage and like determination in myself, because like I knew I really wanted to do that thing, and that was actually the first like production, like music theater production that I had ever really done. And I tried out for plenty of things before and never really got roles, but like really getting my first actual role, having it be a lead, was really like boosting for me. It really like finally made me believe in myself a
cool.
bit. So yeah.
Coming from a background in education, like teaching elementary school now, to like I've noticed with most kids, like all they really need is like one of those like win moments to be like, hey, this is like I can see myself as this now. It's like that's just like my part of my view on education is just like you need to set kids up for success so they can be like, hey, like, you know what, I can do this. So doing Hairspray was really, you could say it was your first like, all right, like this is my thing now.
Oh, yeah.
I can really call myself a musician, a
Yeah,
singer. That's
absolutely.
awesome. Cool. And then you went on, you were Ursula
I was Ursula, yes.
in Little Mermaid right after
Yep.
that. If you could, I didn't have anything to do with Little Mermaid. Could you compare and contrast playing those two roles?
Oh, well, the characters are obviously so different, and Tracy was so much closer to like who I am in my normal life.
Really?
And then having to become Ursula was, I mean, it was still a part of me, but it was a part of me that I very much like hid from the world, like the anger, the kind of,
Really?
like rebellious sort of side of Allie. And so I had to really pull that out when coming to be Ursula. and that was a bit of a challenge, but it was also very exciting, and it was kind of more thrilling than being Tracy in some ways. And also just, the very dynamicness of having these long tentacles on you that you can't really move, and having to express yourself in different ways was really nice.
That's very cool. Now, other than just setting we talked a little bit about it, like helping shape your musical identity as like, I am a musician now. How would you say musical theater has affected just like how you make music now? Does it influence your creativity or your style at all?
I would definitely say that it gave me the courage to try new things.
Cool.
Just because I had never done them before doesn't mean that I can't be good at them, or doesn't mean that I can learn how to be good at them.
That's awesome.
That's always there.
Awesome, having the lifelong learner mentality. That's so hard to pronounce sometimes. Cool. All right, so we're out of high school now. Going to college for U of M.
Yes.
What would you say has if you could just give like a brief arc of your musical career since high school, and then we'll kind of get in the weeds after that.
Right.
So, what's been up since high school?
Oh, well, I went to U of M, and I started out with music ed, but I mean, I was there for 3 out of 4 years of the program.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of am in it. It's a
Really?
gray water.
Okay.
But that was a very shaping time as me as a person, and me as a songwriter especially. And then I sort of found some growth, and added on a double major technically in music business.
Okay.
And so I've mainly just been trying to grow as an artist in this time, and really show myself as an artist, let people know, hey, I am an artist.
That's very cool. And it's nice. I think that's one of the cool things about going to school for music too, is you can really kind of dive into your sound if you are smart about it.
Oh, yeah.
I was not. It took me, way after college to be like, oh, this is like what I actually want to do. But that's really cool that you're taking the time to do like to focus on promoting yourself as an artist and stuff while you're there. You're definitely utilizing your time there.
Oh, yeah.
Very well, very well. So we can go ahead and talk a little bit about pre-interview. You were like, the college thing, we might have to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So you said you're technically double majoring in
Yes.
ed and music business.
Yes.
How does that work?
So first off, I came into college and I didn't really know what to expect. And I went into music ed because I knew I felt confident in helping others, and I knew I felt confident in my music skills to sort of blend those two, but I didn't know how I was going to establish that in the world. I really didn't consider myself a real like artist by that point either. I song wrote and everything, but it's still sort of gray. And then when I got to University of Memphis, I had this long period of like a year and a half where I just felt so out of place. I felt like I did not belong on that campus. I mean, not that I wasn't good, like too good for it or anything. I felt like I was not worthy to be there. Like
Really?
I felt like I was so little compared to everybody else that was there. And it took me a really long time to realize that wasn't true, that I was just different than everybody else that was there. And
Okay.
I was a different, I mean, everybody is different, of course. And so I had to remember my own great qualities and what brought me there versus other people. And then when I did that, I got to like my senior year of music ed, because this had been a long process of me gaining my courage again and doing shows again. I got back into songwriting because that year and a half I wasn't songwriting at all.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't performing. I could barely even sing in front of people. I couldn't sing in my voice lessons. I couldn't sing in classes. I would have full panic attacks. And then I had to regain that strength. And then once I realized that I wasn't ready to fully just like cut off my education yet and go teach the world. I felt like there was so much more of me that I had to learn.
Okay.
Before I could go tell a student, oh, this is probably your best bet, in life to do this, or, to encourage them. I felt like there was a certain point of wisdom that I still had to gain.
Very cool.
And so I was like, well, Financial aid allows it. Let me go see if I can add on, a double major in the music business. Because what kind of transitioned me there is I'd already been making friends in the music business major, and I'd done the music industry monthly residency shows at Newbies, and so I kind of knew the people who were in it, and so finally I was like, I'm just going to take a couple classes at first.
Gotcha.
And so I took a couple classes, really enjoyed it, and then I was like, well, let's stay for a little bit longer and see how it goes. So I added on the double major mainly because of financial aid issues, because
Really?
the University of Memphis has a new rule now where you can't take classes you can't take classes outside of your degree and unless you want to pay for them out of pocket. Like,
Really?
no financial aid. You can't get any of it for...
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm going to add a double major now.
Smart,
Don't have to
yeah.
finish the double major. I just have to, have it on my transcript.
Wow. So that's
what I
nice
did.
little loophole.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was like, I did, and I've been in the music business program. This is my second year now. So technically I'm a super senior, 5th year senior.
I know that life. Yep.
Yeah. So I still this semester I'm taking music business courses, and then next year I may finish the ed degree. Who knows?
I
It's
gotcha.
just
That's amazing of you to be that self-aware, though, to be like, I'm not ready to, go into the teaching field when I am not 100% sure of this. Because I know, even me, I've been in education for this is my 6th year of teaching, and there are plenty of days where I'm not 100% sure of it. And I know people, unless you're, and I give everybody this advice, liking music is not enough to be a music teacher.
yeah.
And being a music teacher is not the next best thing to being a musician. They are two just insanely different things. And if you loved band in high school and you loved playing and performing and stuff, that's great. But yeah, being a music teacher is not the next best thing, because you will get burnt out quick.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. People love bands. It's like, oh, I want to be a band director. Then their band director's like, oh my God.
yeah.
And then 3 or 4 years down the road, they leave teaching for good.
Yeah. There's a certain point of maturity I feel like you have to reach before you become a teacher. Like, you have to realize, like, I've learned a lot of my life, and I have a lot of life lessons in general to feed to these students, because really, even music education is not just about music. It's about education. You are teaching these kids how to grow up, how to be adults. And so you have to, before you go into that spot, you should know what life lessons you're trying to teach them.
You are wise beyond your years for saying that.
I try.
And for being aware enough of yourself, saying like, I'm not you're pretty much saying like, I'm not that wise yet.
Right. Not yet. Yeah.
That's incredibly, like, that's a very wise thing to say. And, ironically enough, very cool. Okay. Awesome. So next year you maybe finish the ed degree?
Maybe, yeah.
Are you still thinking about going into public ed?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think that at some point in my life, that is where I want to be. I love teaching. I love giving, I love helping people. I love giving those life lessons. I love giving those opportunities of, fulfillment to children, being able to help that. But, I learned that right now it's not it.
Cool.
Right now I don't have that to give to them.
And that's very cool, because you can give kids. It almost reminds me of your old choir director Jeff Moore, because he went and toured with a rock band for I forgot, it was a couple of years before he went back and finished his ed degree. So now when kids are like, I want a career in the music industry, you can be like, this was my experience.
Right.
A lot has changed since then, but he definitely got a really good dose of what it was like before he went back.
And I definitely feel like him being my teacher and me knowing that, it brought a different sort of respect for him in a way, because I was able to see he had taken the time to go out and figure out those life lessons that he was going to teach us. Yeah. And so I was open to, hearing what he had to say. And I was, he was a great teacher to have. I was very grateful for him for my last 2 years of high school.
Heck yeah. He is still probably one of my all-time best friends. I don't see him as much anymore, but he still is. He's a great dude. And it almost makes me think, I know, I started teaching at 23. I would really say I didn't get the hang of it. I still don't feel like I have the hang of it year 6, but 26, 27 was where it really started to click for me. But yeah, like, I know some teachers, like, they jump in, not everybody's my wife who is, they jump in, like, I can't remember how old she was. 20, I think she was 23 her first year teaching. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And she just jumped into it with both feet. And, she's amazing at what she does. But I also think people like my wife who can get in front of her classroom that young are few and far between to do as good of a job as she has done. But also my wife is superhuman.
Oh,
so
yeah, absolutely.
I married the most amazing woman on the planet. So anyway, we're not going to talk about how much I love my wife, because that was when I sat down with Josh McClain Thursday. All we did, like half of the interview, was talking about how much we love our wives. So I can't do that every episode. Cool. So let's go ahead and jump into your songwriting career. You're kind of like I said earlier, you're kind of a songwriter staple in Memphis now. Like, I see your name pop up, and it's really cool. Like, I see your name pop up like I do other bands and stuff, but a lot of times it's like Songwriter Night, Allie Wallace. Songwriter Night, Allie Wallace. Do you organize a lot of these?
The Songwriter Nights? No.
Really?
Yeah, no.
So you're on so many of them, I thought you ran them. Okay.
No.
Very cool. So, let's see, where is it? I'm reading my iPad right now. Let's see. Okay. You've been a familiar face and name around Memphis songwriting scene for a little while. How important would you say connecting with other songwriters is?
Oh my gosh, so important. I probably wouldn't even be where I am right now if I hadn't already connected with like other songwriters and other souls in general. It's all about, everybody has something that they can bring into your life, and you just have to be willing to let it.
That's really cool.
And so you have to be open to reaching out to those others. And
I think that's one interesting thing I've noticed about songwriting too, is it's the opposite of competitive. Like, I've never known anybody to be a competitive songwriter, and I guess if they are, they don't last very long.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like other art form, or it's not like other sports, or even sometimes in music where we get really competitive. Like, I guess it would be really hard to be a competitive songwriter. I don't know. Have you met any competitive songwriters?
I don't know if they've ever been competitive. Maybe they've been a little I don't even know the word, really. They've been more like, oh, well, I can use this to only my benefit, and I'm not going to benefit anybody else, maybe. Like, I've met a couple that are like that, but it's very rare. It seems like the songwriters have already touched into a certain part of their soul that they're like, well, everybody's worthy of this,
Really?
That's at least my perspective on how I've seen it so far.
Cool. Now, how often do you do, like, co-writes and stuff like that?
I've been trying to do them at least once a month, which is, I've been having these jam session parties, essentially, once a month, where I just bring everybody in and we just create from scratch practically a whole album and start to finish. How cool is that? Oh, it's such a blast. It's one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever really experienced.
That reminds me of a long time ago when I just graduated from college. We did this thing called Small Town Big Sound in Martin, where we just it was the same thing. Like, let's find everybody in Martin we know, write and record a record in a week and see what happens. Yeah. It's always cool how spontaneous things like that usually end up with some really timeless stuff that kind of lasts for a long time.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Let me find. I'm looking through my stuff right now. So I kind of want to transition over to, you as an artist. So you've got Allie and the Walrus.
Yes.
I'm going to save the.
Yes.
I'm going to build the suspense for what the walrus means. But I know I produced one of your records. Yes. Well, that was before it was Allie and the Walrus. It was just Allie Wallace.
Yes, it was Allie Wallace at the time. Even though I've re-uploaded that stuff to streaming stuff, and now it is Allie and the Walrus.
Oh, okay,
so it is also a part of the project.
Cool. Well, that was a blast, to say the least, getting to work with you on that. I know going back, I would do some things differently just because of how things go. Yeah. I would do a lot more in person production. We did a lot of stuff by email, which was fun, but it also was one of those it it was like we constantly think we're done, and then we're like, oh, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. So I think sometimes I love the internet. I love being able to communicate electronically, but there's also a time like sometimes just sitting down with each other gets stuff done so much faster.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, if you had to describe yourself in 3 artists, what 3 artists would you pick?
Okay, I would recently Billie Eilish.
All right, William Eyelash.
Yeah, why William Eyelash?
Have you seen that thing on YouTube? Yeah.
Yes, Billie. Man, this is hard. The Beatles.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
And then I hesitantly want to say Adele.
Okay.
Just because it's been my go-to for my voice for a while. That's always been my.
I mean, I can see it though, like because you've got that like, for lack of a better word, just like you've got that big voice. Like your voice, like mixing your voice was really difficult because it just fills up the mix. So it's either buried or overpowering the mix. So finding the sweet spot on mixing your voice is really difficult. So really cool. So Billie Eilish, Beatles, Adele.
Yeah.
With some ukulele in there too.
Right.
Cool. Do you still play a lot of ukulele and
I
stuff?
do,
Okay,
actually,
cool.
yeah.
And then you did the song Sugar.
Yes.
Now is that just a single or is that part of a bigger project?
That will hopefully be part of a bigger project.
Really?
It's in the long process, but
Cool.
yeah.
Could you talk about the origin? Because that's a collaboration, isn't it?
Yes,
Cool.
it
Could you
is.
talk a little bit about how that collaboration came out or came about? Excuse me.
So I already had the song written, and then I reached out to my friend Jordan Occasionally, who's a singer-songwriter on campus. She is a phenomenal just singer and songwriter, and I just have always I've done a couple collaborations with her, mainly just like live stuff, and she even had her a cappella group do a cover of Serene from the EP that we did.
Really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was
that is
so. It was
I think
so
that's
amazing.
my favorite tune off of that record.
Right, it's a good song.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to revive it.
Dude,
Revive it and do some cool work with it.
From start to from scratch to completed product, of the songs on that record. I think we did a lot of really cool stuff on that record.
Oh yeah,
that's by far my favorite.
That was such a good first EP to have. Like it was. I mean, it really represented me for that time, and it really just kind of lives on, and it's a beautiful piece of artwork that we got done so quickly. I think it was like the week of your wedding or something, or like the couple weeks before your wedding.
Right? Yeah, it was like right around getting married.
Yeah,
yeah. So
super busy.
It was fun times.
Yeah. But I pretty much asked Jordan to come back because I love her voice and I knew she could do some killer backup vocals. So I was like, please come, make a acapella arrangement off of Serene, and she just built it on to what we already had.
Now Jordan Occasionally, is that a stage name or is that her name?
That is a stage name.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like how cool would we have
Right.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. So more stuff in the works with her and everything. Cool.
Yes.
And then who? You did a music video for it. Who did the music video?
Liz actually did.
Really?
Yes, she was my lovely director.
That was fantastic.
Yeah,
very well done.
Another rush job that just came out beautifully.
Really?
Yeah,
that was so well done. Cool. Fantastic. So one thing going from working with you on your record to now, the color pink was not a thing when you and I worked together. How did that come about? I was very curious how you were like, what? Did you just wake up one day and you're like, dude, pink?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it was imprinted on me. I don't know, really. I think maybe one day I did just start liking pink and I just started wearing it. But then there was a point where I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I had a bunch of pink stuff? I had I just owned a bunch of pink gear and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I was curious if it was a conscious branding decision as well.
I mean, eventually it became that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I was curious if it was I really like pink. This is gonna be my
right.
deal.
Oh
okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. There was definitely a point where it became.
I mean,
that,
it has definitely worked in your favor. For
yeah,
sure.
right.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. It's time. Allie and the Walrus.
Yes.
What is with the Walrus?
What is the Walrus? So, the Walrus is really... So, this past year, I would say definitely, which is kind of when this name even became birthed, I've definitely been going through like this spiritual journey. And a lot of things have been revealed to me about how connected we all are and how we really are, like, we came from the same thing and we still are a part of the same thing, but that's something that we very easily forget.
For sure.
And I feel like that's where most of our issues come from, is that we just forget what we are and what we are a part of.
Disconnection.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I got to a point in the music career thing where I was like, well, I don't feel right just calling myself Allie Wallace when I go do shows, especially if I try to have a band or anything.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, it's not just me, like, it's all of us, and I need something to be representative of both me and all of us.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, well, let's think of something. And I'd always like gone by the nickname Allie Walrus because, you know, play off of Wallace.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what about Allie and the Walrus? And, you know, I did a poll on Facebook and people liked it. And I was like, well, I like that. And then it kind of got revealed to me through the universe that the walrus is all of it. It is the universe.
Oh, wow.
It is our connectedness
Okay.
to everything, because it keeps coming back to me in waves and showing me itself, and, you know, being like, you are not alone in this. Like, you have everything around you. Just trust in it.
Okay.
And so having that be representative throughout my music and throughout my project is really important to me, because I really need people to know, like, you are not alone in this.
For sure.
Like, you are okay, and we got you.
That's
And
cool.
so, yeah.
So we are all the walrus.
We are all the walrus.
I love it. Okay.
Yes.
So if anybody asks who's the walrus, I'm like,
We are the
we're
walrus.
the walrus. You're the walrus. I'm
Yeah.
the walrus. Very cool.
Exactly.
The walrus is connection.
Yes.
Nice. I love it. That's so cool.
Yes.
Now that I know what the walrus is, man, that's so cool. Yeah, just connection
Yeah.
between everything. One thing I wanted to touch on, being friends with you for a while, is you're so unafraid to just try new things, jump in with both feet. You know, at one time you took all your music off of streaming.
Yeah.
Like Bandcamp's it, not doing anything else. You moved cities for a little while, moved to Philadelphia, right? And then you also, do you still stream like on Twitch and stuff?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you just do a little bit of all. You try new things.
Yeah.
Try, see what works, see what doesn't work. So I'd like to jump in to a little bit of those. Maybe not touch on all of them, but just talk about what did and did not work and stuff. So taking your music off of streaming, though, what was your decision for that?
So I had it on there, and the thing about getting it onto like DistroKid is, you know, you had to pay the upfront fee and everything, and I had to pay that, and I was analyzing all of the music and all of my streams and everything, and I wasn't at a point where I could even try and make back the money that I put into it. And that was kind of frustrating, because I didn't even make that decision until after I went to Philly and I saw that other artists were still promoting their music and everything, but just in a completely different format than just the streaming platforms made available. So once I saw, oh, this can kind of work without having to work with these companies that really aren't valuing my music to begin with.
Right.
And I could try and just make this other thing work, maybe. And so I was like, well, you know, let's give it a shot. Let's see if maybe I can try and have a culture change of some sort to actually appreciating an artist's music enough to pay for it.
Yeah, for sure.
A basic thing that I feel is very important.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Music is worth more than like 1,000th of a cent.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah, definitely agree. It's really cool of you to jump on this and be like, you know, I'm gonna try to be the first, you know, to what it takes, you know.
I definitely don't feel like I was the first, but maybe definitely a helper.
Yeah, you definitely like you took it on like as part of leading a charge, though, which is really cool, and it's nice to see someone that's not afraid to be like, all right, if somebody's got to be one of the first, it'll definitely be me.
Yeah.
Now you put it back on there. What was your reasoning for going back and deciding, you know what, maybe put it back on there?
Because I realized that while I want change in this environment, the way that I'm not going to get it done is by just completely removing myself from that environment. Like, that's not going to work as well as I thought it would. So I know that right now, while I'm having to build people's trust in me, I'm going to have to sacrifice a lot.
Gotcha.
I'm going to have to sacrifice my pride in believing that I deserve something. And I'm going to have to be willing to just give it to them, and have just trust that as long as they see that I am putting my all into this, and they see that, I really care about this regardless of the money that comes from it, then they'll be able to follow. They'll be able to trust that I am someone that can help.
Very cool. So it's like, sometimes it's almost like sometimes you got to play the game to win the game a little bit. And it's very cool that, like, more than anything, you're selling your honesty through your art.
Yeah.
Spotify and stuff is part of, or like your music is part of what you do, and it's on Spotify and stuff. But in truth, like, people are really buying you as a genuine person.
Yeah.
And there are other, even though it's on Spotify, there are plenty of other ways to make a career in music and stuff like that. Very cool. And I think it's great to have that much faith in people, to be like, hey, like, I am super genuine. And I think that's really one thing I've seen throughout your musical career is you've never shied away from being perfectly honest about who you are in your art and through your art and all of that stuff. It's never been like, I was talking to Ben Ricketts a couple of nights ago, because it's been a whirlwind of interviews. Like, you are my, I think it's like 5th interview in 5 days or something like that. It's been fun though. But I compare this to used car salesmen sometimes, because sometimes we'd like, I play shows a lot, or I did. I used to play shows a lot. I rarely play shows anymore. But, sometimes you would play a show with the band and everything was fine, well, and good. But you could tell, like, there was one song in particular that maybe, like, they didn't enjoy that much, but they thought it was going to be a hit song, and they were just pushing that song.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was standing in the crowd. I was like, because I have had plenty of songs that I did that where I was not emotionally attached to this music at all, but I was like, this is gonna sound good, so I'm gonna play it. And I felt like a used car salesman, like, hey, buy my used like this is pretty cool, isn't it? But and you were talking about, it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the Walrus too. I really do think people crave connection more than anything else nowadays.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, we're so isolated right now, like ridiculously isolated.
Which is weird, because we're more like, social media has put us in touch with more people in the world, but people have never felt more alone.
Right.
It's so interesting.
They've put us in touch in like a language way, and there's only so much that we can put of ourselves on there. Like, we're connecting to certain parts of ourselves, but we're not able to connect a soul to a soul on that. We're not able to do a direct link. And so that is the problem. And that's actually what makes us so isolated, is that we're not really able to put everything into that medium yet.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. We only a part of ourselves is on social media, and it's almost like we're used car salesmen on there. We're just trying to pick and choose the best parts of ourselves.
Right.
We act like life is peachy. I feel like that's my hardest part with social media is, and music too, is we have to feel like we're always doing something, and even if we're not, we have to act like we are on social media. Or I feel like I have to act like I am constantly doing something on social media, and if I don't, I feel like I'm getting behind, as it were. And it's just it's not that and that's one thing I've enjoyed about this podcast process too, is like I get to like sit down and talk with you in long form, and just see how things go, see how things are and stuff, and not have to worry about getting good sound bites or anything like that. Very cool. So we talked about What did we just talk? Might have to cut this part out because I totally blanked. What were we talking about again? Oh my gosh. We were talking about connections.
Yes.
Oh, moving to Philly. Why don't you move to Philly?
So, actually, my good friend who I've known forever, she is a circus performer. She moved to Philly for college for circus performance.
Cool.
And when she was out there, I guess she was listening to my music one day. She was listening to our EP, and she was, having a hard time, and she really connected to it in that moment.
Okay.
And she was like, I want to create a show with you. I want to create a visual experience with your music, my circus performance, and I want us to bring it together and, help others with it. And it would be Love and Recovery, the show.
Wow.
And so we were going to do that for the Fringe Arts Fest, which happens in September every month, and that's more of a theater festival that you can be a part of. And so once I heard it, I was like, let's do it,
Okay, cool.
So I moved out there in May, and I was there for the month of May, and we worked on it some, but there are other aspects of our lives that we just weren't taking care of because of that. And we were ignoring very important parts of ourselves for that project. And it got to the point where we couldn't even function with that project anymore because we just were ignoring entire parts of our lives that were way more important at that time.
Oh, man.
And so we had to put a pause on it, and it didn't happen this year. Hopefully in the future it will happen. But so that was the first month that I went to Philly, and while I was there, I actually found out that Whole Foods will pay artists $200 to play music in their their grocery store. So I was like,
Whole Foods.
I was like, all right. So I got some of those gigs for the month of August, and went back there in August and did that, and then came home.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm really glad that you decided to press pause on something. Sometimes we push as hard as we can to where things are broken beyond repair.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you decided to hit pause before it reached the point of no return. So very cool. I'm excited. I'm looking forward. Knowing you, I know that's going to happen at some point. I'm excited. Yeah. And I feel like it could totally turn into like a full-fledged musical at some point.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So I'm just, the day that happens, I will be front row center because that's going to be so rad.
Oh, yes.
Very cool. So we talked a little bit about taking music off of Spotify, moving cities. Are there any other just like new strategies, anything that in particular that comes to mind that you've just, you were one day like, here's this new strategy for my art, my career. Let me try that, and just jumped in.
Yeah, actually, it was right after the Philly thing. Something I learned when I was in Philly during that time was something that hurts me the most out of everything is the expectations that I bring to the situation.
Really?
If I bring these huge expectations of, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that and I'm going to have all these things, then I actually end up being way more let down when they don't happen than if I just went into it being like, okay, this is what I know about the situation right now. Don't really know what's going to happen. This would be cool if it could happen, but even if it doesn't, whatever.
Right.
And then letting what happens happen. Then I'm not as let down about what happened and what didn't happen. And so I've really been kind of taking that approach to life and my music career in general right now.
Awesome.
And I've really been trying to just not stop completely, but stop reaching for opportunities that may not be guaranteed to me. But kind of just sit back and wait.
Okay.
And see what happens. And the thing is that's been working for me for the past couple months. Yeah. People have been coming to me for shows.
Awesome.
People have been coming to me with these crazy opportunities I never would have expected at all.
Very cool.
And it's been less stressful. I haven't had to worry about, am I doing that thing? Am I doing the thing? I'm not good enough because I'm not doing the thing.
Yeah,
and
there's so much FOMO now in music.
Yeah.
So it's not, that's so cool how sometimes if you just sit back and relax, the things that you want to happen tend to, and taking the pressure off as well.
Because I think what we fail to realize in those moments where we're stressing out about it is that, like, you've already put in the energy. You just got to wait for it to come back.
That's smart. Yeah, I never even looked at it like that because I'm the worst about it being a compulsive workaholic. You know, it's better to be busy than to be effective in my or that's usually my mentality to a fault. So that's very cool. Yeah, it seems to me too, like going back from talking about your college situation right now to what you're trying and just like your outlook right now. It's almost like it's really easy to look at you like a rocket where the fuse is lit, you know, and we're just like sitting back and like, it's going to go off. And we all know it is. Yeah. But in the meantime, like, let's not stress about it.
Yeah.
You know, we know the rocket's going to go off. We know it's going to be amazing. So let's just relax and focus on the things we can control.
Yeah.
Cool. What has been one of your more successful like business strategies from like streaming, like on Twitch, to doing the songwriting thing, to, you know, even moving cities, you know, and stuff? What would you consider one of your more successful strategies so far?
I mean, do as many shows as you can, I guess, but not overwhelming yourself to the point, but just like if a show comes knocking at your door, take it. If you know, an idea just like comes to your head and you don't feel like ridiculous pressure to like you have to do it, then you know, if it feels fun, do it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Me and Ben were talking earlier about always do the most fun thing first.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for most of us because there's so much trend chasing now. You know, like TikTok, Instagram. You should be playing covers. You should be posting 8 times a day. You should be engaging on hashtags and stuff, which is all fine, well, and good. But to me, I feel like there's like a new social media strategy every week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just constantly behind. And to me, like, what seems to be working now is people like you. They're like, I'm going to do the most fun thing first.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I'm going to focus on bettering myself, bettering my craft, and then just trying new things to see what works for me as a person. Because anytime somebody walks up to me with a tried and true strategy for how things should be now, there's always 5 other people that are doing the exact opposite, and they're doing just fine. So, yeah, do the fun thing first, and then stick with that.
Yep.
What would you consider your most educational experience so far?
Just life in general, it feels like. I feel like every aspect of my life just brings such new and different and just as equally important information.
Cool.
Because, I mean, yeah, every day brings me a new, very important lesson that I didn't have the day before, so...
Very cool. And you kind of talked about the adopting like the lifelong learner strategy earlier too. So approaching every day with that, just I'm going to learn as much as I can. Yeah.
I mean, and you can do that in so many different forms, and that is so important because like going to college and, you know, focusing on one thing. Yeah, it might get you good at that one thing, but the thing is like life is important for everything. Like you have to, I mean, everything is so connected once again. Yeah. Like you can learn anything anywhere. Like I can be in my room laying in bed and learn a ridiculous amount of information that really helps me the next day when I do get out of bed.
Very cool.
And so it's just always about being open and not being so stinking hard on yourself.
Yeah. Keep your eyes open and chill out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, so from promoting your music, you know, changing your name to Allie and the Walrus, going to different cities, playing shows, doing songwriting, streaming. Is there anything, and we could talk about maybe the past year, or even the past 5 years. Do you have a favorite experience, regardless of how it turned out? You know, it might have turned out poorly, but like at the time, you're like, man, that was such a cool thing to do. You can take as much time.
Right? I'm like, what is one?
And we can. I mean, we can do like 1 to 5. You know, and you can take as much time as you need. I can edit. If we have any dead air, I can cut it out. It's fine. So yeah, you can do 1 to 5, or you can do 10. I don't care.
I mean, definitely going to Philly, experiencing a whole nother city, a whole nother music vibe, making friends there was, I mean, it just kept it kept the ball rolling on my career in a different way than I expected. I mean, it's even what brought, it brings opportunities with it even when I'm not there. And so being open to doing that new thing, even if it was scary, even if I had to drive 15 hours alone, which I've never done before, and, having to experience all of that, it's just amazing of an opportunity to get out of a place that you do know and go to somewhere you don't know with such, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then finding out, oh, it's okay if I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'll figure it out. And yeah.
Going back to, musical theater in high school bringing you validation, did you experience any similar validation from being asked to change cities for your music?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I felt so much validation being asked to go there, going there, and having the great experience as I did have, meeting the people I felt there, it was great. I mean, I even talked to my mom about it, and she was like, did you really gain anything good out of Philly? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm so happy I went to Philly, even if it ended on kind of a rough patch, and it was uncertain, and I didn't, plans had changed, and I was let down that my other plans didn't work. It was such an eye-opening experience to, oh, but I did that.
Heck yeah.
Like, I actually made it through that.
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
What else is in my way?
Exactly. And you were like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to move to another state,
right,
to another major city on my own and just do it. Yeah, like you did all of that. How, nobody can take that away from you ever. Very
absolutely.
Cool. Let's see. So you have a house venue now.
Yes.
Wolfgang Manor.
Yes.
Will you talk a little bit about what kind of the origins of that?
Will do.
And where it is. Where is Wolfgang Manor?
Wolfgang Manor is in Midtown.
Okay.
Memphis, of course. Yes. So my best friend has a lovely house over in the Cooper Young area. And he lives alone. He's got it's kind of big for one guy, but he was like, come do some shows here, because that's what this house needs. This house deserves live music in it. It deserves, people in it. And so
cool.
He pretty much provides it for free. And we try to have events bi-weekly, and we do live shows. The first one we did was my EP release.
Okay. Very cool.
Like 2 years ago now. And so we knew it was a good space for that, and we knew we could accommodate quite a few people in that space, and we had a good neighborhood to do it too, because Cooper Young's already kind of a party neighborhood, so you can be as loud as you need to be.
It's pretty laid back out there.
Yeah.
So do you run it then?
Yes, I run it
and
yeah.
everything?
Yeah.
Okay. What are some things, like getting started, what are some of the nuts and bolts of starting a house or a venue?
Definitely just about getting people to come to the shows and things. And mainly it's just about building the audience to come to those events. Because at first, my very first event was my EP release, which we had a really good turnout for that. But that was because it was my first EP release. My friends and family were there, so they were able to pack the house. But if we have, I guess a month ago, we had a touring act come in, and we could only get them maybe 10 to 15 people from the city. Yeah, and it's hard to compete against the other venues that are all doing different shows at the the same day.
Yeah.
It's hard to get get an audience there to actually support the artists who are coming out. So,
were there any, I guess you could say, unforeseen hurdles with running a venue? Have you run into a situation yet where you're like, man, I did not know that X was going to happen?
I don't feel like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because you've been gigging for a while too,
Right. So I feel like I've already done most of this so much that I just kind of already knew what to expect.
So no real surprises.
Yeah.
Like I did not know running a house show was going to be like this. Okay, that's awesome though. So I'm glad you were that prepared too for something like that.
Yeah.
So you book it all out. How can people book at this venue that are looking to?
You can find us on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, Wolfgang Manor, and then you can message us on there, and I will message you right on back, or you can just message me, Allie Wallace.
Now, are you in charge of most of the promotion and stuff too?
Yeah.
Have you? I know a lot of promotions done through social media and stuff nowadays. One thing, when I talked with Skinny this past week, he talked about show flyers being a lost art form.
Yeah.
Have you tried any creative show promotion strategies that you would think that you would consider unique?
I don't feel like I have really.
Really?
I don't know if any. Yeah. No, I don't think I have.
I mean, if you're packing out your shows too, I mean, you're doing a good job. So stick with what works.
I mean,
too.
other than just literally messaging people and being like, "Hey, come to this show."
Yeah. I've gotten a few of those, and may or may not have responded to them. I tried to respond.
Right, it's okay. I don't expect really anybody.
True enough story too. I was talking to Ben Ricketts about this. Like, I feel like everybody has one. No, it was somebody else. I've talked to a lot of people.
Oh.
Did my chair just break?
It's like falling on me.
Uh-oh. Are you good?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
All right. I was going to say, if I need to adjust it, I can. Now, I was talking about, I feel like everybody has one communication device, whether it's email or text or something, that's like their Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And mine is Facebook Messenger. I'm getting better. I've gotten so much better about it, especially in the past 2 weeks since I've been doing this season of shows. But if I get a notification on Facebook Messenger, I don't know what it is, but it is the last thing I want to see. And I'm so bad about responding on Facebook Messenger. I'm great at email, great at text message. You can call me, you can come knock on my door. But if you message me on Facebook, or used to, if you message me on Facebook, I'd be like, oh God. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Do you have any in particular hitches?
I feel like mine is partially Facebook. It might be text actually, because now I have two phones on, because one of them doesn't work and text wise, and then the other does get text, and the other one is such a piece of crap that I don't ever want to text on it. So I'm so bad at reading and responding to those texts now.
It's just a chore now.
Yeah, it really is.
One thing I like to talk to a lot of people, especially people as active as you, how do you stay organized?
Mainly I have an app called Asana. That's a to-do app that helps me a lot to remember, I need to do this, because it has, alerts, so I can tell you, you need to do this today.
Okay.
So that helps. Also, I have a lot of notes in my phone, so I write a lot of stuff down. Usually if I'm thinking through, I have these shows this week, I have a notes in my phone that's this is the show day, and then these are the songs I'm performing that day. This is where it's at. So I just type everything out and just go back to it.
If it works for you, I'm very I feel like a very type B, type A person, in the sense that I'm organized. But if anybody other than myself looked at it, they'd be like, "What is this mess?"
Yeah.
So I totally understand. If you would you send me a link to that app, and I'll put it in the show notes. That way, if anybody wants to check it out, they sure can.
Yeah.
So a couple of more just odds and ends questions. This is kind of been one of my more signature questions. Do you have a favorite failure?
My favorite failure was going to Philly, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that second month I was there, I technically was homeless during that time. So
Really?
I was mainly couch surfing, but there were a couple nights I had to sleep in my car, and it was such a hard time when I was in it. But after it was over, so I got to see the lessons that came with it. And those are always so nice and so revealing about you and about life in general. And so that's probably my favorite.
Cool. Coming out of that, I'm so excited that you got to make it through something like that and come
Yeah.
out the other end just a much more wise. Because you're like I said, already said before, you are wise beyond your years for sure. Cool. Anything new and exciting on the horizon? I think this episode, it's February 1st right now, but it will probably be March, early to mid-March when this comes out. So what's going on?
Hopefully soon, by around that time, I'll be in the process of getting a music video together. I want to release a music video before I hopefully go on tour in May.
Awesome.
We're gonna start. The tour will start up in Philly, and then we'll drive our way down to Memphis and hit some spots along the way.
Awesome.
And so I'm hoping to have a new music video out by then, new merch by then hopefully by the end of the year, a new album.
Fantastic. So, let me know if you need anybody help.
Yes.
Any help with recording that?
Yes.
Now, I just want to get a little bit into the tour because you said you've already booked some of the tour. How? What's your booking process like? Because so far, every person I've talked to, they book differently.
Right.
So
far the places that have been successfully booked were mainly booked by the other act that I'm going with.
Okay.
But I've also been trying to help, and the strategy that I've been trying to attack was go through Facebook and look through Facebook groups that have like DIY bookings, or like, there's like the Northeast Tour DIY bookings group that you can join, and try to find people through that to help find some good spots.
Okay, so go through the Facebook groups.
Facebook is such an interesting, I feel like so many opportunities are hidden in Facebook that you just have to find.
Yeah, Facebook is so interesting to me because it has become like the necessary evil of the world.
Yeah.
I am on Facebook, of the 90% of just pure garbage on my Facebook, I am there for 10% of it. But at the same time, all of the shows I've played in the city of Memphis have been through Facebook, save one. I booked one show through email in the city of Memphis. Every other one has been through Facebook.
Yep.
And it's so interesting to me. There's part of me that every time I get on Facebook, I just feel gross inside. And then there's other parts this has worked very well for my career.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, last but not least, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet. I've got allieandthewalrus.com is my website.
Okay.
And I'm also on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, kind of Twitter. Facebook and Instagram, it's Allie and the Walrus. Also on YouTube. That's also there, too. And on all the streaming platforms.
Awesome.
So you can hear the music.
Yeah. And Twitch, too?
Twitch, too, as well, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
TikTok yet?
No.
Not jumping on TikTok, Trey?
I thought about it mainly because my cousins are on TikTok, and I thought, well, maybe I can get them into my music.
Gary Vee is preaching the good word. You know who Gary Vee is? Mm-mm. Okay. I'm going to send you some stuff. He's like a mega entrepreneur guy, but he's preaching the good word of TikTok.
Oh.
He's always been, he's 3 for 3 on trends that are going to be happening. So it was in the early 2000s. He was Google ads is going to be the thing before it blew up. Then he was Facebook ads is going to be the thing. And then he was influencer marketing is going to be a thing.
No.
And now he's TikTok's a thing. And he's been saying TikTok for the past year.
TikTok is the number one social media app now. Even over Facebook, and that's scary and I guess kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So
I've had some really good conversations with some people about TikTok because my friend Mike was talking about with Instagram especially, it's very celebrity driven now in a sense that people aren't looking for necessarily the most organic things. And TikTok, it seems to be that the most organic things are the things that are thriving. So that might be something for you to jump into.
Yeah.
And it's also it's almost like pulling a lever on a slot machine too. Any one video you have could blow up. My brother is on. I'm on TikTok too, and then my brother's on TikTok as well. And we post songs. There will be little sound bites from this interview on TikTok and stuff. And my brother just had one video of him riding on a boat. in the middle of Reelfoot Lake, like on a weekend. And of all the videos on his TikTok, that one has like 7,000
My
views or something. Like,
gosh.
it's so weird. Like any one video you put on
Yeah.
TikTok could just explode for no reason. So I don't know. I'm realizing my age at this point because like any new social media platform, I'm like, how's this thing work?
Right.
I don't know. So I'm still bad at TikTok just because I'm not in the habit of it. It hasn't been
Right.
around as long. But
Yeah.
anyway, preaching the good word of TikTok right now. Cool. So Allie and the Walrus at everything,
At
on
everything.
thewallace.com. Twitch is Allie and the Walrus too?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, very cool. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm so excited. Like I said, you are a rocket that's about to go off, and we're watching the fuse that has been lit, and we're just waiting on it. So,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, be expecting great things. Allie and the Walrus will be a household name. I'm sure of it. So, thank you so much again. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Everybody, this has been another episode of The Modern Working Musician. Until next time, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
And we are